Welcome back, and we're here with Tingana. You can see him crouched down there in the grass. There are some Nyala just ahead of him here. They haven't spotted him. They're making alarm calls, but they have no idea where he is. So let's just watch very, very closely. Apparently he's a very good hunter, and the Nyala have no idea his position. This is very, very exciting, folks, to see something like this on live TV. The leopard is only meters away from a small group of Nyala, and he's dead still. Look at the ears, complete focus. He's moving his feet to get the best position. Low he goes. Nyala just have to pick the right direction. The wind is swirling, it's picking up. Makes it very confusing for an animal to detect the presence of the predator, where he is when it's swirling. It's very, very hard. And they need their sense of smell. Not only the sense of smell, but the sound. The wind is making the grass move and the leaves twitch. And these animals, as camouflaged as they are, rely heavily on their hearing to discover the presence of a predator. And when the wind is moving, it makes everybody very, very uneasy. Looks like the Nyala are a little... Did you hear that bark? That whoa! I'm not very good with my Nyala bark today. I think my mouth's a bit dry in this heat. But I don't know if you heard that boom. Very similar to a deep bark, like the kudu and the bushbuck are related. Unfortunately, it looks like the Nyala have moved off just a little bit, but they still have no idea where this male leopard is. That was jaw in the jaw stuff. Drop the jaw stuff. That was fantastic. So we got a call from one of the guys while we were sitting at the dam having a look at the hippo. We were really, really enjoying the sight of the hippo there. We were in the shade, but now we've come across here. We've managed to got a standby, and we came right in as the action was unfolding. Fantastic stuff. We have got a second leopard joining. There is a second leopard coming in from the left here. I don't think that he has any idea of the first leopard. I'm not sure what the name is, but there's something's going to happen, guys. This is Hosana, I believe, and something is about to go down, folks. Watch very, very closely. They've now both got wind of each other, but there should be some submissive behavior from the one on the left. If you could hear it, I don't know if you can hear it, there's some growling going on. Definitely the younger of the two leopards is approaching, and he is behaving in not being aggressive. Let's see. The bigger of the two leopards, the one in the back, is definitely showing signs of aggression. Body language, facial expressions. The jaw is open, he's growling. There's a deep rumble coming from his tummy. This is fantastic stuff. Hosana now doesn't seem too perturbed. He's a young leopard. I believe he's only 21 months. I believe that this is the son and the other is the dad. So there seems to be some tolerance. Fantastic to see. Just like me, the mouth is dry, need a little bit of water. It is a very hot day here in the Sabi Sands. That is fantastic visual. You see how the leopard laps the water up. Nice and muddy, murky water. But you've got to drink. We don't all have water on tap. Animals have to make use of what they can, and these little pans are very, very important for the survival of most of the antelope and animals that we see. Leopards can get a lot of the moisture that they attain from the blood that they get from the antelope that they eat. Impala, for an example, there's a lot of moisture in the blood, and this is a thirsty animal. He was around this morning, and we were hoping to come out this afternoon and find him. So we did make an effort to come into this area, but I wasn't expecting to see what we're seeing right now. This is absolutely fantastic stuff. The larger of the two leopards is completely relaxed now. There's no behavior. He is just sitting there, but definitely far bigger than his son. Panting, the heat, But the beautiful coloration of that animal, almost impossible to see. Can you go again with that question, please? Very, very thirsty. It's possible that he hasn't drunk since this morning. I know he was running around away from the pan earlier on after he was left this morning, and it's possible it's been a few hours in the heat that he's just been waiting to avoid, obviously, walking through the heat of the day. It's a big, big effort for a cat to walk in the heat, so they avoid it as much as they can. But when the need finally arises, they have to come and drink. Hopefully he leaves some for the rest of us. You hear the sounds of a fork-tailed drongo there. He's busy bombing the leopard, also known as the honey badger of the sky, the fork-tailed drongo. He doesn't heed for anybody. He will chase the biggest and scariest of them all, and often a very important alarm call in the bush. You hear that alarm call. It's not a typical whistling or communicative call. It's a typical loud, rasping shout, basically indicating to the leopard that it's been seen. And quite often, alarm call is enough to force these animals to move away from whatever it is they might be doing. If you see the colors on them, they are animals of stealth and stalking, and once they have been detected, they generally move away from the area or pretend to not have been seen at all. In this case, the male is now lying down. So I didn't get the name there. I think Fubi, Susie, terribly sorry. I'm not getting the best signal here.
Oh, no,
Fluzy with an S. How long? Sorry, I'm not quite getting the name. Fluvi. How long do leopards live in the wild? A male leopard probably can live a little bit less than a female, but between, I would say, 14 and 15 years would be the average a leopard could live. Females maybe a little bit longer, males a little bit less, maybe up to 10 years, all dependent on their strength, on their ability to survive. Most leopards, oh, there he's yawning, fantastic. Most leopards are very, very formidable and very, very adapted animals to survive. But if they get injured or die of natural causes through injury, obviously they live a lot shorter periods. But on average, I'd say a male 10 to 12, females a little bit longer, 14 to 15 years in the wild. Look at that posturing. That is all body language. All body language. Would you want to mess with that? Look at those teeth, the size of the throat. It's no mistaking a male leopard for a female leopard by the size of the head, by the size of the jowls. And I don't know if you can quite pick up on that sound, if it's coming through there, but he is just giving light grunts, and he's basically indicating dominance. He's not looking at the other leopard, though. Lynn, how do leopards tell friend from foe? It's very difficult to say. Most of the communication in the bush is done through smell. But lions, leopards, they also have a visual recognition of each other. I've seen lions particularly walking towards each other and behaving in a very aggressive manner to the one that it's approaching, or the one that's being approached, responding very aggressively, and then suddenly something triggers and that whole behavior changes, and it goes from aggression and posturing to affection and love. And in leopards, they are solitary animals. Males are dominant and they have territories. They can see another male by his size, by his posturing. And if they encounter each other on territorial boundaries, or if the big male encounters another male in his boundary, there will be serious aggression that will be displayed. Obviously, females are far smaller, and that big male there could tell this was a much smaller leopard. So just by posturing, just by displaying and making a noise, the reaction of the other leopard will indicate a lot, will indicate aggression, will indicate, are you a foe, are you a friend? And obviously Hosana, he behaved in a very childlike manner, almost oblivious to the fact that there's a larger leopard sitting in the grass, when any other leopard, female or male, of a breeding size, would react in a different manner, would posture back, would obviously become more submissive. He didn't show too much submissive behavior when he walked up, but obviously sensing it's his dad, hanging out in the same area, and obviously there's a smell. He's probably smelt him around for the last couple of hours, and the wind has been swirling. So yes, there's definitely a smell communication there that they would have connected on. But I don't know, I'm not a leopard, so these are all things that we can read about and experience, but how do they really experience it? How do they really pick up on those cues? We have a look at the guy on the left again. Hosana, he's beautiful there, sitting in the open. Look at that light. It's getting a little bit later in the afternoon now, and the temperature's definitely dropped from before. He's now got a belly full of water. He's feeling a lot cooler. He's still panting. The animal has its mouth quite wide open, and wind coming in over that, very wet. There we go. Nice big yawn and a scratch. Now, if that's not relaxed, I don't know. Up he gets. Maybe it's still a little bit too hot to be sitting in the sun. But with the mouth open, as I said before, wind blowing in over the moist mouth cools them, which is quite an important trait for these animals. They don't sweat like we do, so they have to pant. If any of you have ever had a dog at home and you've taken it for a walk or a run, it has to pant, and this big long tongue hangs out the side of the mouth and lolls from left to right, and the wind blowing over that is its method of cooling down. And both of these animals are panting quite heavily, and I would say it's primarily because the wind picked up that they started becoming more active. As I said in the start of this little leopard encounter, the wind plays an important part in the deception, because it masks the approach of the leopard. It confuses the animal. They can't hear. The wind swirls the smell around. Kudu, Nyala, specifically, they have really big ears for hearing. They can hear the slightest movement in the grass. Even the leopards are very, very stealthy. The slightest movement can give them away. When the wind is swirling like that, often you'll see cats. I've seen them lying flat. Even on a hot day, the wind picks up, and suddenly the animals get up and they start hunting. And often they move in the direction of the wind or across the wind, and that helps them to pick up the scent of prey that might be upwind from them. So he looks like he's had a long day. I didn't do it. A question, is it normal for Hosana to be social with other leopards? He's still a young cat, so he's still learning the ropes. He needs to learn the boundaries of how to behave with other leopards. They do, as they get older, become completely solitary, apart from when they are mating, and they need to understand the ins and outs of how to greet, how to approach, how to back down, how to just be around other leopards. He is going to be a big boy one day. He needs to know how it works, and learning from his dad. This is not something I've seen before, a young male leopard hanging out with an adult male leopard. It's not something I've seen before, but the Sabi Sands is a wonderful place for leopard viewing, and I think through his interaction with this male, he's learning how far he can go. And the large of the two, sorry I forget the name, I'll get these names down at some point, he behaved in a way, and these lines are drawn in the sand. When we have kids, our kids learn from our behavior as adults what they can and can't do, and if we don't discipline them or we don't react in a certain way, they'll cross that boundary, and slowly but surely over time we as adults learn how to behave in society, and leopards have to do the same. When they are with their mothers, they're very social with their mothers. 2, 3, 4 leopards could be. They learn how to play, they learn how to socialize, they learn how to fight and stalk. The mother also teaches them through her growls and her aggressive behavior when it is acceptable to behave in a certain way and when it isn't. And just by her body language, they can learn if there's danger. By her body language, they can learn if they must move away. By their body language, they learn if there's something to hunt. So this is something that is learned. There's a lot of instinct involved, but there's also a lot of learning. And the longer they learn, the more successful they become. So we are going to leave these leopards here. They are a wonderful sighting. We're enjoying them sitting here in the cool of the shade. I'm going to link you back to Jamie. She's got some giraffes. Okay, and enjoy. Just moving back, folks. You're back with us with the leopards. We're just making space for one of these vehicles to exit. So just forgive me for a moment while I just reposition the car. And then we're going to try and get into a better position so we can just get a little bit more up close and personal with the spotted cats. Yeah, man. Just moving in. Look at them. The wind is nice and cool now. Leopards are facing the other direction, not looking at each other. See if we can get... How's that for you? Is that a little bit better?
That's great.
Okay, it's quite awesome to see the size difference. I was watching this morning with Hosana. His comments is he's quite a stocky, tall leopard, or stocky leopard for his age, but he's not a big leopard yet. And then when you compare him to his dad, you can just see the difference. Just see the difference. Dad is a big boy, really big cat. And this is what they do most of the day. Very, very hard life. A diet of protein. Not much work required with regards to tax and payment of bills. They drink water, they sleep, and they hunt. That is quite a nice life. You can still see the neck moving there. Very easy to identify the difference between a female and male by the size of that neck. Joy, that's a very interesting question. Would Hosana try to hunt next to Tingana? And I don't think, personally, I've never seen anything like that. Hunting together, they are competitive. Definitely the bigger of the two would outcompete the smaller of the two. And if Hosana made a kill, Tingana would definitely steal it from him. There's no love lost when it comes to food. And when it comes to sociality and leopards, I've never seen male leopards feeding together. I've never heard of them hunting together. There might be cases recorded in the Sabi Sands, but nothing I've ever heard of or read about. So it might be something to ask James or Steph about, but I don't think it would happen. There might be some action, and they might do something, but it would not be as a team. It would be as a solo effort, maybe a piracy. If one took it, the other one would steal it, but definitely the bigger of the two would outcompete the smaller. Just hear the sounds of the crested francolin in the distance. We spoke about them earlier in the elephant dung. Very important for scratching in and around the area and dispersing seeds. A question from James about where I've guided before. I started my guiding career with Singita in the Kruger National Park. That was then followed by a stint with wilderness safaris, with a fair bit of studying in between. Nature conservation studies. So yes, Singita Kruger National Park with a small stint with Singita in the Sabi Sands, but not a very extensive period in the Sabi Sands itself. So this is my third time back here. And wilderness safaris up in the Porphyry section, Makuleki in the northern Kruger. Probably the most amazing place in the world when it comes to birding, comes to wetlands, when it comes to elephant encounters and buffalo. Definitely, if you've never been to the northern part of the Kruger, it's a must-see. Both leopards are very alert. Their heads are up. The wind has died down, but it has definitely got a little bit cooler. They're both looking off in the northerly direction, but there doesn't seem to be anything that I can see in that direction. I don't know if you can see anything there, Seb.
No, not yet.
Looking at the leopard's ears, though, what's interesting when you look at intention, and what I always would say to the students I've trained is that if you understand animal behavior and if you understand ecology and tracking, you can get away with being a decent guide. Because animals, they will show you what they're doing. Their intentions tell you what's happening. Look at his ears are moving left and right. There's no direction. They're not set in one particular direction. So he's scanning the bush like a satellite, looking for sounds, looking for stimuli, looking for information. And while he's doing that, he's just sitting. I don't know if any of you have got a cat at home. They'll sit on the bed and they'll be fast asleep and the ears will twitch left and right and something will happen. And there's a beautiful yawn. Often after a leopard yawns, they tend to want to move, but I think it might be still a little bit early in the day for them to do that. Definitely a great first drive for me. Couldn't have planned this better for myself. 2 male leopards. This for me is a first. Absolute first. Unique. So they are both relaxed. Both very, very relaxed in this afternoon sunshine. And the wind is slowly starting to pick up again. But as you can see with Hosana there, nothing's going on. He's just being. He's just sitting, his tail in the sand. And an easy way to identify male leopard, if you just go up a little bit there, by the gentles. Okay, when a leopard is not very big, if you're not too sure about the sex or by the size, looking behind the tail, under the tail is often a good sign for the sex. Look at the spots, the beautiful rosettes, beautiful camouflage for cryptically making him disappear into the vegetation. You see what I mean about the intention. Suddenly the ears and the eyes perk up like your cat will do at home, staring off into the distance to that inaudible sound or stimuli that you did not pick up on. Dogs do the same thing. The wind is coming in his face, is in his direction, but there's nothing there that we can see. Maybe he's wondering what his dad's going to do next. Kathy, a question, are there a lot of leopards in the Northern Kruger? There are a fair amount of leopards up there, but the vehicle movement in the Northern Kruger is very, very small. There's only 2 lodges there, and the traversing rights or the road network is very, very small. And not many vehicles are out actively pursuing or actively habituating leopards. So to me, it's a very wild area where if you do find a leopard, it's generally quite skittish. It generally moves off, and that is a fantastic stretch. Any of you yoga lovers out there, that is called the cat stretch or the downward facing dog, done by the cat himself. And he's moving closer to his dad. So let's just watch this for a moment. You'll see that the dad is aware he's coming. His ears have just flicked back slightly. What are the intentions here? This is completely new to me. A young male of 21 months approaching an adult. I don't know if I would be doing it. Let's see if there's any behavior change here. There we go. Look at that. There was a complete grimace. The ears are flat. And now there is a submissive behavior happening from the youngster a little bit to the right. If you can pan out a bit there. I don't know if you saw that. So the adult growled, flattened his ears, opened the mouth, and in response the youngster sat down, made a little meow of a cat call, mimicking the facial expressions of the dad, but not aggressively. Even though the face looks aggressive, the little meow that came out was very soft and playful. Now this is fantastic, seeing 2 male leopards facing off to each other, and the youngster not too bothered, picking up scent in the air, sniffing at a stick. Just complete displacement behavior, showing no signs of being being worried or being aggressive, and that is basically animal behavior. If someone is being aggressive towards you and you behave aggressively, the response will be aggression. But if you react passively or completely aloof to aggressive behavior, often that completely breaks down the aggression, because that's how you fight fire with water, not with fire. Once again, Dad is down. Okay, it's still hot here, but not as hot as it was earlier today. And these leopards are just relaxing. I really don't know. If you guys out there have seen action like this behavior, please send through your comments. I've never seen what we're seeing right here. And for me, this is fantastic. So I was saying before about animal behavior, tracking, and ecology. And ecology is a very broad word, and a lot of people get quite sort of shaken when they hear ecology, and they think, oh my word, only ecologists understand ecology. But if you break it down to a human level, what is ecology? Why do we wear jackets? Because the environment we live in is cold. Why do we wear hats? Because the sun in our face burns our head. Why do the leopard have spots? So he can camouflage himself for hunting. It's as simple as that. Why do impala males have horns? Because they fight for dominance against the females. Why do the females and males have large ears? It's to hear, to defend themselves against predators. So ecology is a very broad term, very easily understood. Don't ever let yourself be daunted by ecology. The wind picked up again, and there's a bit of action as Hossan stands up and is starting to stalk little birds. He's definitely very playful. He's definitely still a youngster. And Dad does not care. He's not interested in the little birds. It's a nice visual of him in the light there. Oh, did you see the displacement? Well, should I say the aggressive response? Hosana came a little bit close, and instead of doing anything, he just showed a facial expression of teeth baring, mouth wide open, and a little noise coming out of the chest. That's enough to let the youngster know that he's overstepped his boundary, and he sits down again. If you spend any time with domestic dogs, they do something very similar with puppies. The puppies always want to nibble at their ears and bite them, and they quite often will get a little nip on the bum or on the head or wherever it might be, and they learn that way. They learn not to be naughty. Those are very social animals, and they need to learn these things. I think maybe we move back a bit, let these guys in. Seb, what do you think? We're just going to move back a bit and let these guys come in. Are you guys fine? Are you sure? Okay, no, they're fine. We're in a really good position here. I feel a bit guilty for hogging it. Well, you guys are very fortunate. There's no signal with Noel, so we are going to stay with these leopards as they sit here. And I haven't heard any comments from the audience with regards to if they've seen anything like this before, what their thoughts might be. Crystal, I believe you saw a male leopard sharing a meal with a cub. That definitely happens when they're quite young. When leopards are young, maybe less than 6 months or 8 months, I could be mistaken. But 21 months, this for me is quite unique. But it's still always very, very, very interesting. Yeah, keep them coming, folks. Keep them coming. Leopards in the Sabi Sands are a phenomenon known throughout the world. If you want to see leopards, this is the place to come. I think I've just proved that on my first drive here, and we are loving the spotted cats. So when we talk about leopards and males and females, you quite often will find the male leopard has got a territory, And depending on the food resource, that territory will have a particular type of size. So if you're in an area, in the savanna area, you often have a much smaller territory because there's more food. When you go sort of more desert like Namibia areas or Kalahari, leopards have far greater territories purely because the food resource is much less. Okay, folks, there's another vehicle arrived, and I'm sure he would like to get a visual of this. So we're going to back out a bit, try and give them a little bit of space. Going to back out, give them some space, and then let's see what happens from there. Enjoy, folks. Give you some space there. Just got to watch this little antenna. I have been warned. Okay, folks, so we're just going to move out